Welcome to Notebook Nuggets. Today we're doing a deep dive into the really powerful ideas of Viktor Frankl. You shared some fascinating material on him. And well, what really grabbed me was his core argument that our main drive as people isn't, pleasure or power, but actually the search for meaning.
Exactly.
So we're going to unpack how that search can sustain someone through, frankly, horrific situations. And also, maybe more importantly for us, how it applies to our lives today, even if our challenges are, thankfully, very different.
Mm-hmm. It's incredibly relevant.
Okay, so let's start with the context. The crucible, really, the concentration camps.
Yeah. I mean, you have to start there to understand, Frankl. The extremity of it is almost impossible to fully grasp. We're talking Auschwitz, Dachau, places of just utter dehumanization.
Right.
The constant threat of death, the starvation, the violence.
Yeah.
And the systematic stripping away of identity, your name, your possessions, everything gone to just a number.
Reduced to basically nothing. It's hard to even imagine facing that kind of profound meaninglessness.
It really is. The material paints such a stark picture.
Yeah.
Just being treated as less than human.
So when you're facing that day in, day out, what keeps a person going? What stops them from just giving up?
That's the critical question Frankl grappled with. And what he observed amidst all that horror was something quite profound. He saw that even when everything else was taken, one thing remained: the freedom to choose one's attitude. To choose how you respond to your circumstances. That internal choice couldn't be taken away.
And he saw a real difference between those who held on to that and those who lost hope.
A stark difference. He noted, and tragically the camp records kind of bore this out, that those who lost their sense of purpose, their hope, they were often the first to succumb. Illness, despair. It had physical consequences.
Wow, that's a chilling validation, isn't it?
He really is.
So seeing that resilience, it leads right into his central idea about meaning, especially meaning in suffering.
Precisely. Because if the drive isn't just avoiding pain, what is it? And his answer is meaning. There's that famous quote, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude.
In any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Yeah, that's powerful.
It suggests that even in the bleakest external reality, our inner stance, our response, is still ours. That's a kind of freedom.
And you highlighted those examples, right? People comforting others, sharing their last scrap of bread.
Yes. Those small acts of humanity in the midst of inhumanity, they demonstrated that freedom, that choice to uphold certain values even then.
It seems almost paradoxical, finding freedom in absolute confinement.
It does. But Frankl saw this wasn't just about extreme situations. He noticed something similar, though obviously less intense, in post-war society. He called it the existential vacuum.
The existential vacuum. Okay, tell me more about that.
It's that feeling of emptiness, a sense of pointlessness maybe. Even when your basic needs are met, you have comfort, security, there can still be this nagging feeling of, is this it?
Yeah, I can see that feeling of being adrift, like you don't have a real purpose driving you.
And Frankl saw this vacuum in modern life, not just in the camps. The material you shared really connects this to pressures we might feel today.
So how does that vacuum manifest, according to him?
Well, he observed people trying to fill it, sometimes with frantic activity, consumerism, chasing distractions.
Like trying to drown out the silence of meaninglessness with noise?
Kind of, yeah. Or pursuing pleasure for its own sake, hoping it fills the gap. Sometimes, he suggested, it could even lead towards nihilism, that feeling that nothing really matters in the end.
That makes sense. If you don't feel a sense of purpose, it's easy to fall into that kind of thinking.
Exactly. And again, we have to be careful not to equate everyday ennui with the horrors of the camps. But that underlying question, what's the point, can be deeply corrosive to well-being wherever it appears.
Okay, so if chasing pleasure isn't the answer, and the lack of meaning is so damaging,
yeah,
what did Frankl propose? He famously argued against chasing happiness directly, didn't he?
That's absolutely central. He believed happiness isn't something you can pursue and catch. It's more like it ensues.
Ensues? How so?
It follows naturally from living a meaningful life. Meaning is the cause. Happiness is the effect, the byproduct. As one source put it, you need a reason to be happy. And once you find that reason, happiness tends to follow automatically.
That really flips the script, doesn't it? So much of our culture is about the pursuit of happiness.
It does. It suggests focusing on finding meaning, on purpose, and letting happiness arise from that, rather than making happiness the direct goal.
Less chasing, more cultivating.
You could put it that way. And he said something similar about success, too.
Oh, yeah.
He argued success, like happiness, shouldn't be the primary aim. It should be the unintended side effect of dedicating yourself to something larger than yourself, a cause, another person.
So focus on the meaning, the dedication, and success might just happen.
Kind of, yeah. The more you aim for meaning, the more likely success might follow. Almost like a shadow. Don't aim at success. The more you aim at it and make it a target, the more you are going to miss it.
Okay, that's a profound shift in perspective. So if meaning is the key, how do we actually find it? Did he give practical ways?
He did. He outlined 3 main pathways to discovering meaning.
All right, what are they?
First, there's creating a work or doing a deed.
Okay.
This can be anything, really. A big creative project, starting a business, but also small acts of kindness, contributing to your community. It's about engaging actively with the world, fulfilling some task.
So it doesn't have to be grand. That act of sharing bread in the camp, that counts.
Absolutely. It's about the engagement, the contribution, the intention behind the action.
Okay, that makes it feel more accessible. What's the second path?
The second is experiencing something or encountering someone, particularly through love. Yes. Frankl saw love as like the deepest way to grasp another human being's core, their uniqueness. Finding meaning through connection, through caring for others. This isn't just romantic love either. It's about appreciating beauty in nature, art, or deeply connecting with another person on any level. Care, connection.
That makes sense. Those deep connections definitely provide a strong sense of purpose. Okay, and the third one, you said this might be the toughest.
It often is. It's the attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering.
Back to the suffering aspect.
Right. Based on his own experiences, he stressed that even when we face suffering we cannot change, like a terminal illness or an irreversible loss, we still have the freedom to choose our attitude towards it.
How does that create meaning, though?
Well, think about that example he gave of the elderly doctor grieving his wife. Frankl helped him see meaning in his suffering by outliving her. He had spared her the pain of seeing him die.
Wow. Finding meaning in ensuring her lack of suffering, that's something.
It is. It illustrates his point. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves.
So by changing our inner stance, our perspective.
Exactly. Finding a purpose within the suffering itself. Maybe it's an opportunity for inner growth, a way to demonstrate courage, or simply bearing it with dignity. Frankl said suffering ceases to be suffering the moment it finds a meaning.
Like the meaning transforms the experience itself.
In a way, yes. It doesn't eliminate the pain necessarily, but it integrates it into a larger purposeful framework.
Crucially, though, he wasn't saying seek out suffering, right? Just how to respond when it's unavoidable.
Absolutely not. It's about finding meaning despite suffering, not because of it in a masochistic way.
Got it. And this ties into the importance of having a future focus, doesn't it? A why.
Yes, hugely important. That sense of a future goal, something to live for. Remember that story Frankl told about the prisoner who had a dream predicting his liberation on a specific date?
Yeah. And when the date passed,
He lost hope very quickly and died shortly after. The loss of that future anchor, that why, seemed to be fatal.
That's incredibly stark. Just shows how vital hope for the future is.
It really does. And conversely, prisoners who had a concrete reason to survive, finishing a book, seeing a loved one again, they seem to have a much stronger will to live.
It gave them the strength to endure the how.
Precisely. It brings to mind that Nietzsche quote Frankl often used, "He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow."
That why is the anchor.
The ultimate anchor.
And Frankl seemed to wrap all this up in the idea of responsibility, didn't he?
Yes, that's kind of the culmination.
Yeah.
He shifted the question. Instead of asking, what do I expect from life? He said, the real question is, what does life expect from me?
Flipping it again.
Right. It implies that life is constantly posing questions to us through situations, through challenges. And our responsibility is to answer those questions through our actions, our choices, our attitude.
So meaning isn't just something we find passively, it's something we create through our responses.
Exactly. We are responsible for finding the potential meaning in each situation and actualizing it. That's the essence of existence for Frankl.
So looking back at Frankl's journey, it's just incredible. Through unimaginable darkness, he found these profound insights about the human spirit, about our fundamental need for meaning.
Truly remarkable.
And his work really challenges us, even today, doesn't it? To look beyond the surface, beyond just chasing happiness or success, and to ask ourselves, what's our why? So maybe for everyone listening, it's worth reflecting on Frankl's ideas. You know, what tasks are calling to you? Who can you connect with more deeply, love more fully? And even when things are tough, how can you choose your attitude to find meaning there?
They aren't easy questions.
Definitely not. But as Frankl showed, maybe the search itself, the process of finding our answers, is what really gives life its depth and value. We hope this deep dive into Viktor Frankl's thought has given you some, well, valuable nuggets to chew on. What really stood out to you from all this? Is there anything you feel drawn to explore more in your own life?